So in this video, we're going to be making this section mobile responsive, and it's always good to make your website mobile responsive. So let's just quickly inspect this. Let's inspect this quickly, and let's resize this on a mobile. Let's resize this to the mobile view. So as we are resizing this now resize this now to our mobile view. As you can see here, our two columns, they are still taking a width of 50%. The image is taking a width of 50%, and this other column is also taking a width of 50%, and that is not what we want. On a mobile view, we want the two columns to take a width of 100% so they can fit the screen, okay, for the users to view. Okay, so because we want to make this responsive, we are going to be giving these columns a width of 100%. Okay, as you can see, this is not really looking good at all. So let's fix this. First of all, let's bring this back here. Now let's go back to our text editor to fix this. Now up here for our column 6, as you can see, as we all know, our column 6, we gave it a width of 50%, and that is what they are taking. This is for the desktop view. Now for our mobile view, let's go back to our media query, our mobile styles at a max width of 780 pixels. So we are going to call that class. Let me create some space here. So we are going to call the class. Now down here, we'll say dot column 6, so period column 6, and then we are going to give this a width of 100% because we want the two columns to take the whole width of the screen. So we are going to give it a width of 100%. And just because we don't want the browser adding any margin for us, and this is always a good practice, we don't want the browser adding any margin for us, we are going to give this a margin of 0. It's always a good practice. So let's go back to our web page and refresh this. So let's refresh this now. We'll refresh, and now let's resize this. Let's resize it to our mobile view. As you can see here, they are now taking the width of 100%. Our first column is taking the width of 100%, and our image is also taking the width of 100%. Now if you notice here, this column is still inheriting that margin right of 30% we gave it for our desktop. So it's still taking the margin right of 30%, and the image is also taking the margin left of 30%. The first one is taking the margin left of 30%, and the second one, which is the image, is also taking the margin left of 30% we gave it for our desktop. So we need to override that inside of our mobile view, inside of our media query. We need to override it. So let's go back to our text editor and override that. So if we come up here inside of our desktop view, you can remember we gave the column a margin left of 30%, so that's why it's still creating that space. And for the right side column, we also gave it a margin left of 15%. So we need to override that inside of our media query. So let's go down here. Now let's do this. So we'll say div, and then we call the class left side column, and then we use a comma. I know we haven't done this before, but I'll explain it. After your comma, you hit enter, and then you say div, and then your class right side column. Let me create some space here. And now what this is simply telling the browser, that we want to style the left side column and the right side column all together. So you can actually style two elements like this by using a comma. By putting a comma and then you hit your space, you can actually style two elements. Just make sure you put your comma here. So what we want to be styling here, since we gave this a margin left of 15% and a margin left of 30%, we need to override this inside of our mobile view. So we are going to give this a margin sorry, we're going to give this a margin of 15 pixels. So we are giving the margin of 15 pixels overall. Okay, so the two elements, they will now have a margin of 15 pixels overall. We are not giving it on the left side, we're not giving it on the right side. This is just going to be a margin of 15 pixels all around the element. Okay, so now let's refresh this quickly on our web page and see how it looks. Refresh. Now you can see this is looking good for our first element. I think there's a problem here for the image, so let's just go back to our web page, to our code editor quickly. So we'll say left side column, and then we'll say I think we didn't spell the right very well, so that's why the image is not moving. So we'll use here. Yeah, this is looking good now. So let's go back and refresh this. Refresh. Now you can see the image is now aligned properly with the first column on top of it. So you can see the margin here. This is the margin of 15 pixels here. So this is looking good so far. This is looking good. So if we resize this like this, as you can see here, let me just create this space here. Now, I don't want you to worry about these Chrome developer tools here. Don't worry about it. Just focus on the web page, which is here. Don't worry about the Chrome developer tools. So let me just bring this here. So as you can see, our input box is overlapping. You can see how long it is. So if we do this, like you can see our input box is overflowing, and this is not what we want. We need to size this inside of our mobile view. We need to size this. We need to size it properly. So let's go back to our text editor. Now for our inputs, if you remember, let's go up here for our inside of our desktop stylings. We gave it a width of a 400% of a 400 pixels. Okay, I keep using this percent. I don't know why. We gave it a width of a 400 pixels. So we are going to override that inside of our mobile styles, inside of our max width of 780 pixels. So we are going to override that. So what we need to do, we need to style our input box. So as usual, say input, and then you specify your brackets. Now inside these brackets, as we all know, specify your type, and the type, use your equal sign and then your double quotes, and the type is text. And then what do we want to style this? We want to give this a width. Since we gave it a width of a 400 pixels for our desktop, we are going to give it a width of a 300 pixels for our mobile view. The 300 pixels. So let's refresh this on our web page and see how it looks. Refresh. Now you can see, do you see how good this looks? Now we now have a width of a 300 pixels for our input box. Okay, you can see how perfect this looks for our mobile view. Now everything so far is looking good here. What we really need to do now, as you can see, our image is overflowing. Unfortunately, our image is overflowing. As you can see, if we do this, if we shift this, you can see our image is overflowing from our web page. So we need to size this, and we are going to be doing that in the next video. We are going to be aligning this image properly inside of our web page. We are going to make it responsive. Okay, so it's going to, our next video is going to be a very short video. So we are going to be working on that image in our next video. But so far everything is working very perfect here. You can see everything is working nice. This is responsive. Our first column is responsive, and our second column, which is the image, we are going to be making it responsive in our next video. So I'll see you guys in the next video.